Hey guys, it's Kevin again, and this is my review for the season premiere of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 2, Episode 1, Shadows. And I reviewed the first episode of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. for you guys last year. I kind of gave up on the show after that. I wasn't planning on watching it again. It just didn't look interesting to me. They had a good premise, but I didn't like the way they were executing it. Now, I did not see the episodes where Hydra, where it became S.H.I.E.L.D. versus Hydra. I did not see them. I did see the finale, which was very well done, in my opinion. I really enjoyed the finale. The finale was very good. And I was really looking forward to this episode. And again, I wasn't planning on reviewing this individually to you guys. But the only reason is because I was, doing my school play. And I thought I would get into it, and I didn't get into it. So I figured, you know what, now that I'm not in it, I have less time. I have more time, which means that I can review this show individually to you guys. So I'm going to, and let's just get this episode, because overall, I thought this was an awesome premiere. Really awesome, and I'm really looking forward to what happens in the next episode, definitely. It's going to be a great season, I can feel it. So we start off with a flashback in 1945, and we see at a Hydra base, Whitehall is assuring his assistant that there is no need to fear the Red Skull now, because he is dead. This is basically after Captain America has killed Red Skull. And he confirms that the loading is going according to plan, and a Hydra trooper brings out an obelisk, and Whitehall explains that some of the items they found were quite advanced. And the Halloween commanders break into the compound with Agent Sharon Carter in the lead, which is really big because, again, Agent Carter is going to be a mid-season show on ABC. And when in January, there's going to be, Agent Carter's going to premiere. They order Whitehall to surrender, and Whitehall slowly puts down the obelisk, and she informs the Hydra agent that the obelisk and Whitehall will be hidden away, and the soldiers pack everything up. And as they pack, Sharon tells one of the commandos, Dugan, that Stark will go through all the items later, and it's the last Hydra site they know of, and Sharon figures that they're beaten. She figures that they'll need a peacetime organization to keep track of them and keep them safe. They label a box with the obelisk 084 and send it with the others. So, basically, then we see in the present, Skye is into a warehouse, and I thought that was a really awesome way to start it, definitely. I really enjoyed the way that, that started. I thought that was definitely very well done. Yeah, so I really enjoyed the flashback. I thought that was pretty awesome, especially that we got to see Agent Carter, because I already love her character. She's a badass, definitely. I love her character. So, in Alexandria, VA, Skye breaks into a warehouse, and she checks in with Trip and Melinda via radio, and Melinda tells her not to engage until the deal is done. They then watch an ex-S.H.I.E.L.D. agent, Roger Browning, sell intel on box 084 to a woman, Isabel Hartley, who doesn't care who Hartley, he doesn't care who Hartley is, as long as her money is good. That's what he cares about, is her money. And Hartley's assistant is Lance Hunter, who wonders why they should pay so much. And Browning tells him the government has in a law, and with thousands of assets, it's seized from S.H.I.E.L.D., and the box is the only one with a level 10 classified file. So these two have now joined the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. They have now joined S.H.I.E.L.D. because if you remember, Coulsen was approached to reform S.H.I.E.L.D. Even though there is no S.H.I.E.L.D. right now, they're trying to reform it. They're trying to get it back up and running. Me, personally, I feel they're not going to be able to reform S.H.I.E.L.D. till Avengers 2, and I feel they're going to wait till Avengers 2 to actually reform S.H.I.E.L.D. I think that's how it's going to end. Because if they do it before Avengers, I don't think that's going to be a good idea, in my opinion. Because, again, this started in Captain America. So I feel that since it started in a Marvel movie, it's going to end in a Marvel movie. I feel that's how they're going to do it. I don't feel they're going to end it on the show. I feel like the finale is going to be, they're very close to it, but they're not exactly, there's not exactly done forming it yet. So Hartley points out that, Isabel points out that, Browning is changing the terms of their arrangements, bringing more than 2 guards, and as Browning confirms that they only brought 2 guards, a man drops down, kills Isabel's guards, grabs the intel, ignores several gunshots, and leaps out the window. So Melinda, Tripp, and Skye arrive and shoot down Browning as he prepares to shoot Isabel, and Isabel is really a mercenary working for Coulsen's people, and she complains it was and I thought that was interesting, she complains it was an undercover operation, and they explain that they're her backup, and she calls in Coulsen asking for orders, and he tells her to go dark. That was really awesome to watch. It was really cool. We got to see, oh, they're working for Coulsen. I thought that was really awesome to watch. So, at the playground, Alfonso, or as they call him, Mac, he is working on the bus and watches as General Talbot speaks with George, I have no idea how to pronounce his last name, but he speaks with George, saying that the S.H.I.E.L.D. fugitives deserve to be punished, and Talbot assures the viewers that they have most of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra in custody, but there are some still to be captured. This is on TV. They're watching this on TV, basically. And Melinda's team returns with Hartley and her people. So again, the government is completely against S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. They want nothing to do with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra. So that's why S.H.I.E.L.D. is, that's why there's no S.H.I.E.L.D. Hydra, I feel, is going to go soon. I really do feel that way because I don't understand, if the government doesn't like both S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra, why don't we get rid of Hydra? Why do we still have S.H.I.E.L.D. and not Hydra? Yes, Hydra broke S.H.I.E.L.D. is the thing that basically destroyed S.H.I.E.L.D., but if you don't like S.H.I.E.L.D., get rid of Hydra. There's got to be a way to, I don't know. I feel there has to be a way to defeat Hydra. So Tripp checks in with Mac and admits that he didn't pick up any tech, and Billy Koenig then greets him and informs him that Coulsen is in his office and only wants to see Melinda. So Skye shows Billy some metal chips that they took off the cyborg when the bullets impact on him, and takes them to the lab for analysis. So Melinda goes to Coulsen, because, he wanted to see her, and reminds Coulsen that he's supposed to check in with her every few days, and basically, again, Melinda was the one that approached him about reforming S.H.I.E.L.D. She was the one that approached him about it, so he admits that the strain of recruiting is wearing on him, and Coulsen says that they need the cloaking equipment for the bus so that they can get back into the air and avoid commercial flights. So he tells Melinda that he has found some allies in London, and Melinda says that Browning is a traitor, but admits that they can trust Isabel and her people. Because remember, Browning was a guy that was part of S.H.I.E.L.D., but he betrayed them to Hydra, so obviously they can't trust him right now. So they go through the info that they've gathered, and Coulsen realizes the significance of the 084 box and calls Billy to cancel his flights, and Melinda wonders what the significance of the 084 is. And Coulsen says that it's the first 084, so the assassin, Creel, who is our big villain of the season, this guy is just crazy. He is a complete villain, and he's a really kick-ass villain. He's really awesome, in my opinion. I really do like his character. He's really awesome. He contacts his Hydra employer, S.H.I.E.L.D. Bakshian, and says that he's uploading the results, and his contact activates his reward, which is a small silk bag containing a muscravite gem, and S.H.I.E.L.D. says that Creel will find the structure quite pleasurable. Creel touches it, and his arm transforms into muscravite. That is basically his power. He can transform into basically rocks. That's what he can do. So I thought that was a cool power. So then in the playground mess hall, Isabel tells Lance and Idaho that Coulsen wants to meet with them, and Skye comes in, and Melinda confirms that she took the samples to the lab, and she asks Skye how things are going in the lab, and Skye admits that it's about as well as it can be expected, and I thought that was a really good scene, because this confirms that they are going to S.H.I.E.L.D. You can already tell in the beginning that they're going to go to S.H.I.E.L.D., but here you can tell, alright, they're going to come to S.H.I.E.L.D., they're going to work for them, and that's what's going to happen, basically. I thought that was well done. I really enjoyed that. So, meanwhile, we see Fitz. Now, Fitz, if you remember, was drowned underwater, and to the point, he was underwater for so long that he had brain damage, and we see the results of that. It is really bad for him, and I really felt bad for Fitz in this episode, because he has several memory lapses. He's not actually talking to this girl, Gemma. He thinks he is, but she's really just a mirage. He's forgetting words, and then tells Gemma to leave. She hovers over him and asks if he's taken his medication, and Fitz assures her that he has, and he admits he's having a few problems with the cloaking technology, but asks that everybody be patient with him, and Gemma tells him to be patient with himself, assuring him that he's almost there. He takes her hand and half-heartedly agrees. So Melinda comes in, asks for a report, and Fitz admits he's having a bit of trouble identifying the material. It's the same lead that they used in their bullets, and as they watch it break down in human flesh and blood, the scientists say that it shouldn't be hard, but Melinda decides to help anyway. So Hartley reports to Coulsen about Creel and figures that he had superpowers. She finds that out right now. So Lance wants more compensation for dealing with superpowered opponents. And Melinda, I really like this guy, Lance. He's a very good character, in my opinion. I really like him. He's a very intelligent character. He provides a little bit of comic, not really comedy, but humor in there. I like that, and I definitely like these new characters. It didn't take long for us to like them, definitely. Basically, they tell them that they have a DNA match on Creel, who was on the S.H.I.E.L.D. index. He's listed as put down, but the supervising agent was Garrett, and Melinda figures that they faked Creel's termination and then recruited him to Hydra. So he was never really involved in S.H.I.E.L.D. He was just recruited to Hydra. That's really what the plan was. So yeah, so they're starting to figure out who he is. And meanwhile, Trip and Skye are having a beer, and Trip wonders if he can trust Billy, since he's claimed he has several more brothers. And Skye figures that they can trust him based on Coulsen's say-so. And Skye is studying the schematic that Garrett drew, but she can't identify it. She doesn't know what it is. So Coulsen comes in and asks for a moment alone with Skye, and Trip leaves, and she starts to talk about the new images that Coulsen gave her. And Coulsen gives her the file on Creel, and Skye realizes that Coulsen wants her to go talk to Grant. He wouldn't ask except the technology in play warrants it. And Skye realizes that she has no choice and goes. And of course, Garrett is part of, Hydra. Not really someone they trust right now, but of course, she has to talk to Grant specifically because, she has to talk to Grant because he has the technology that they're looking for. He does. So that's basically what happens there. And, so yeah. Basically, Billy then takes Skye down to Vault D and briefs her on the security precautions, and she comes into Grant's cell, and he's glad to see her. He's glad to see her and everything. And basically, he's now, of course, he is in prison now, and he's glad to see her, and he wonders why she's there. And Skye asks if he has any information on Creel, and he asks how she's been, and Skye starts to leave, and Grant asks for Creel's picture. He approaches the invisible energy grid, and Skye notices the scars on his wrist, and Grant tells her that he went through a rough stretch and that he used a piece of paper to try and kill himself, which was really big. I did not expect that. That was definitely really big there. After he ran at the walls, and Skye tells him that he should have ran faster, and Grant says that he's accepted what he did and why. She really does not want to talk to him right now because he betrayed them. She's not happy with him at all. He was a S.H.I.E.L.D. specialist, remember, but he was secretly a Hydra agent. So, they really don't trust this guy right now at all. So she really does not want to talk to him. But the thing is, she has no other choice, and you can really see that she would rather really just talk to anyone else but him. It was a very good scene, definitely, when they did that. So then, in Coulsen's office, Coulsen, Melinda, and Billy, they're watching the interview on the monitors, and Melinda figures that Grant will file Skye's head with eyes, but Coulsen points out that he hasn't lied yet. He hasn't lied yet, and they can pretty much trust him. So Grant tries to make small talk, but Skye tells him that she'll walk if Grant does anything but answers her questions. All she wants are answers. She doesn't care what he has to say. He's trying to tell her about her personal life, and she's just like, change the subject, I don't care. And it's understandable, again, because he betrayed them. So, he explains that Creel was a boxer who rigged his fights using his ability to absorb the properties of any substance and use it to kill, and Skye already knew all that and prepares to leave, and Grant explains how Hydra hid messages in the white noise of S.H.I.E.L.D. frequencies, and as Skye goes, Grant assures her that he will always tell the truth to her and hopes that she'll come back. Skye pegs the barrier, cutting him off before he can say anything that he wants to talk about her father. She doesn't care that he wants to talk about her father. So, Creel is in his hideout, enjoying his absorption powers, and Hydra calls him with a new a new directive. And Billy intercepts in the transmission, and Skye realizes that Grant told her the truth. He told her the entire truth. So, she figures that Coulsen will send her in again. He admits that they kept Grant for intel. Coulsen doesn't care why Grant is cooperating as long as he cooperates. He doesn't care. Because they're kind of like, why is Grant cooperating if he's working for Hydra? That doesn't make sense. I'm thinking this is why. He knows that, I feel like he thinks something bad is going to happen to Hydra, so he's getting on their good side so he can work with S.H.I.E.L.D. again, because he thinks he's going to be able to do that. Because Hydra, again, I don't think is going to be lasting for that much longer. I feel that something is going to happen, and Hydra's going to be kaput. It's going to be done. So I really feel at this point he is just trying to gain their trust, because he's worried that Hydra's not going to last that much longer. So basically then, at Potomac Plaza in D.C., Talbot meets with his wife Carla, and a man bumps into them and walks past, and a phone rings, and Talbot realizes that it's in his pocket, and he doesn't have a phone there. And he tells Carla to get their son to the car, and then answers the phone, and it's Coulsen. And Coulsen warns him that he's in danger, and that they're there to protect him. And Talbot recognizes Coulsen, orders him to surrender, and they then tosses away the phone. The general calls in reinforcements just as Creel moves in, and Melinda arrives, kicks him back as Talbot's soldiers pull up. Creel grabs a nearby chain, transforms into steel, and Melinda holds him off long enough for S.H.I.E.L.D. to shoot him with an electro shotgun, and she and Melinda run off while the soldiers hustle Talbot to his SUV and surround Creel. However, Talbot finds Melinda waiting for him with a gun, and they drive off. Really intense scene there. That was really awesomely done. So the soldiers take Creel into custody, lock him up in a prison cell. They lock him up there. Not a prison cell, but a plexiglass cell. So Coulsen then meets with a captive Talbot and hopes that they can work together. He wants to work with him. So Talbot admits that he respects Coulsen, who insists that he's a good guy and wants to help Talbot, and he repeats his vow to protect the innocents, including Talbot's son George, and Talbot grabs the arms of his chair. Billy records his fingerprints, and Fitz watches from the door with Gemma and complains that Billy is their new tech boy. Gemma assures him that he has only been sidelined because of his injuries, and Fitz assures her that he still has ideas. He resents being treated like he's going to break, but the only time he feels calm is when he talks to Gemma. And Gemma assures him that he's getting better, and he'll soon realize it. Probably when she's gone, because she's not actually there. She's just a mirage. So that was definitely a very big scene. And Talbot then insists that his team was up to the task dealing with Creel. Coulsen warns that Talbot has been talking about the facility where they keep their tech, and that Creel has orders to retrieve that tech at the same facility where he'll be imprisoned. So then Talbot refuses to help Coulsen, and Coulsen takes out a gun and shoots him. And Talbot wakes up in his SUV. He calls in a double detail on the prisoner, unaware that he's talking to Billy, and they take note of the codes he's using and trace the facility's location. And then Hartley and her team, they're ready to move out. Isabel and her team, they're ready to move out. But Isabel points out that Talbot is not a bad guy here. He's not really a bad guy. She wonders why they're going in. And Mac agrees that Creel is self-contained. And Coulsen comes in and says that it's a make-or-break moment, all or nothing. And Isabel agrees about that. So they leave, and Melinda tells S.H.I.E.L.D. to stick with him. And Tripp comes in wearing a general uniform. And the soldiers guarding Creel check on him and discover that his cell is empty. They open the cell unaware that he's taken on the properties of the plexiglass, and he's turned transparent, because, that's what his power is. He can turn transparent, and, yeah, so that was definitely very interesting what happened there. Basically, Idaho drives Tripp in. Oh, I already read this. Basically, the soldiers guarding Creel. Okay. Idaho drives Tripp in, claiming that they're there to meet with Talbot, and S.H.I.E.L.D. is in the next SUV, hacks the computer cables. Tons of shit going down right now at this point. Really awesome. I really liked what was going down. It was really awesome to watch, definitely. So Idaho drives Tripp and claim that they're there to meet with Talbot, and Sky is in the next SUV, hacks the computer cables. Coulsen sends a voice message using Talbot's voice to get the cars through, and Coulsen plays for time. Sky sends the official orders through, and they go in. Idaho stays with the SUV in case they have to abort. The others spread out to look for the 084 among the thousands of boxes stored there over the decades. They're unaware that Creel is there, blending into the walls, and Hartley finds the 084 and signals the others, starts cutting it open. Creel then attacks her. She ducks in time, but then grabs the obelisk, figuring she can use it as a weapon. But she doesn't realize that that thing is filled with, that thing is, basically poison and fire. And so her hand is black at this point. It's paralyzed, She's never going to be able to use that hand again. So basically, Lance arrives and is shooting at Creel. She's driving him off, and as Sky and Melinda are arriving, the alarms are going off, and Lance wants to leave, but Melinda says that they have one more thing they need to get, and I was wondering, what exactly is she going to do here? So the team asks Coulsen if they can abort, and he finally tells them to proceed as plans. So Isabel insists on going with them, and Lance takes her to the SUV, and meanwhile, the soldiers arrive and open fire on Tripp, Sky, and Melinda. Again, as I said, tons of shit going down. And Lance gets Isabel to the SUV and tells Idaho to go. He rams the gate, breaks through, and Isabel tells Lance, she basically says, look, I need you to cut off my hand, because it's not going to work anymore, so, because the effect is going to spread, and if he doesn't do something, it's going to kill her. So, he doesn't want to do it. You can see that he's like, what? I don't want to kill you. I don't want to cut off your hand. That's just weird. I mean, think about it. If someone just told you, cut off my hand, that's like, no, I'm not. But in a situation that she was in, he had to. He had no other choice. So, he takes out her knife, and he basically cuts off her hand. So, Melinda and the others run for a Quinjet on a nearby field, and in his office, Coulsen tells Billy and Mac that he knew and this was a very good speech, in my opinion, I really like that. He says, he knew he was taking a risk, but now they have a chance to survive. And the field team flies off in the Quinjet, activating its cloaking device, and Coulson admits that he doesn't believe Fitz can make anything, much less a cloaking device, and Fitz has been getting worse since Gemma left, which is true. He is not in good shape at all right now. So Fitz works as best as he can, hallucinates Gemma being at his side, and Coulson says that Fitz has become worse since Gemma left, and now they're fighting for those that they've lost, making uneasy alliances, then they'll disappear. And again, I thought that was a really good twist that Gemma's not really there. So Lance finishes cutting off Isabel's hand, and Creel steps out on the road ahead of them, absorbs the properties of the road. Idaho hits him, the SUV flips over, the Hydra operative walks over, and Lance wakes up and sees that Hartley and that Isabel and Idaho are dead. Completely dead. And honestly, I thought it was good that they killed him off, because it's like, you know, S.H.I.E.L.D. is definitely, this is not going to work as easily as Coulson thinks it's going to be, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen next, because Lance plays dead, and Creel touches a tire, uses his insulated hand to pick up the obelisk, and then in the mid-credits scene, we see S.H.I.E.L.D. reports to Dr. Whitehall that Creel is the obelisk and will contact him in the field, and Whitehall seems engaged, says that he's been looking for obelisk for quite some time, and that was an awesome ending, because again, when we saw Whitehall, I was like, okay, now I understand why they showed that flashback, because Whitehall is working with Creel, and this is just going to be awesome to see, because, you know, he wants that obelisk, and that's really how Agent Carter is going to start. That's what's going to go into Agent Carter, and I think it's going to be really cool, because I know they're doing an Agent Carter crossover, and I think they're going to introduce Agent Carter on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., so we like her first. They should do what they did with Arrow, introduce the Flash on Arrow, and then we'll know him already. I thought that would be a good idea, but this episode was amazing, and I absolutely loved it. It was really intense the entire time. Lots of intensity and lots of shit went down, as I said. I really loved everything that was going on this episode. Let's talk a little about this episode, though. Again, I don't feel that rebuilding S.H.I.E.L.D. is going to come as easy to Coulson as he thinks it is. And I think now Coulson realizes this, but he doesn't exactly realize it. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens there. As far as the other, Isabel and Idaho dying, that was surprising, but I like that happened, because now it's like, they gotta get more people to join their team, because they're dead, so they have to get more people, I guess. And I thought that was well done, in my opinion. I really liked that scene, definitely. Fitz I felt really bad for. I really hope Fitz is going to be able to overcome this again. That memory of Gemma said, you can overcome this. Basically, when he's going to know he overcame it when he stopped seeing her. That's what he's going to realize. When he stopped seeing her, that's when he knows he overcame it. Do you think that they can trust... Do you think that they can trust Grant at this point? I feel like they can, because Grant somehow, you know, was honest to them. It seemed weird, but he is honest to them, and I'm really looking forward to seeing why he was so honest to them, but he was. He was honest with them, and they don't really know why. So I don't know if he is doing this intentionally so he can come back to S.H.I.E.L.D., or if he really does care about what they're doing and really does want to help them. I don't know really what his angle is here. But overall, I love this episode. Thought it was just a fantastic episode, fantastic premiere. Really looking forward to this season, especially with the whole Creel thing. I'm really looking forward to seeing what's going to happen with the obelisk, definitely, because now we know that Whitehall is working with Creel, and it's going to get really awesome. And I really hope we see more of the flashbacks. I love this show. The other thing that show did very well that I did not like last year was that last year they made Coulson a very bitter character, very upset about his death, and he wanted to die and everything. He just wasn't that interesting of a character, and now he really does feel like a hero. That ending monologue he had really proved that he is a hero, and they really have improved on that. So, I'm looking forward to the next episode. This episode was really awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next one. So, I will see you guys in my next video, which will be my review for the Big Brother 16 season finale. So, I'll see you guys for that. Okay, bye.